Hi, this is Monique Rhodes. How are you today? You know what? I had one of my students come to me and ask me if I could teach her how to master her emotions. So I want to start with something honest. Your emotions are not the problem. So feeling deeply isn't a flaw. It's not something to get rid of. It's not something to suppress. It's not something to avoid, but it is something to understand. Because when you don't understand your emotions, so maybe you fear them, maybe you run from them, maybe you let them run the show, they tend to drive your life in ways that you don't even see. And often that's where the suffering begins. One of my students came to me the other day and she had just left a long-term relationship and she had a lot of fear around feeling lonely and sad. And I could see how that fear around the loneliness and the sadness was driving a lot of her behavior. Of course, when we leave a relationship, there is grief and there can be fear and there can be sadness and loneliness. But what we have to understand is that these emotions aren't our enemies. They're actually messengers. Think of emotions like weather patterns. They roll in, they roll out, and they change. So some are intense, but others are really gentle. Well, some are predictable, and others catch you completely off guard. But here's the thing. None of them are permanent, and none of them are wrong. Your emotions are simply messengers. So they're signals from within you telling you something about how you're relating to the moment that you're in. So you might experience anger. That might be telling you that a boundary's been crossed. Or you might feel sad. That might be telling you that something important has been lost. Or anxiety might be showing up to protect you from the unknown. So when we listen with curiosity instead of panic, our emotions begin to soften. And when we let them move through us instead of grabbing hold of them or pushing them away, they pass. That's the beginning of mastery. Not controlling our emotions, but having a relationship with them. So mastering your emotions, it's really important that you understand it doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting emotions decide who you are and how you act. So most of us are used to reacting to how we feel, impulsively, automatically, often unconsciously. You're angry, you lash out. You're anxious, you cancel the plan. You're sad, you shut down, you isolate, you numb out. You're overwhelmed, you spiral. But there's a space always between the feeling and the action. And in that space is your power. So when you can build the muscle to respond instead of react, everything shifts. You no longer become your emotion. You become the person having it. And that small but radical shift is the difference between chaos and clarity, between burning bridges and building relationships, between self-sabotage and self-trust. So the body is the first place where we experience our emotions. Our emotions live in the body before they become thoughts. You don't think your way into sadness or anxiety. You feel it. Tight chest, buzzing nerves, shallow breath, clenched jaw. But most of us are disconnected from our body. We override it, we ignore it, or we get stuck in our heads trying to solve the feeling without ever feeling it. So to master your emotions, you have to build intimacy with your body again. You learn to notice. Where does this live in me? What does it feel like physically? Can I stay with it just for a moment without running? Even 10 seconds of presence with your body can shift the emotional charge. And the more you do it, the more your nervous system learns it's safe to feel. Now that is emotional freedom. So you don't need to fix the feeling, you just need to meet it. So many of us have been taught that certain emotions are bad or unproductive. We try to cheer ourselves up, we try to push through, we try to reframe or distract or pretend. But I want you to know that your emotions don't need to be fixed. They need to be felt. They need to be understood. They need to be allowed to move. If you imagine there's a child crying, right? So often people will tell that child stop crying or try and distract with joy. But the most helpful thing is just to kneel down, hold their hand and say, I see you. I'm right here. That's the same approach to take with your emotional world. Not fixing it, just presence. And that presence over time builds trust with yourself. So you don't need to become an emotional monk. Don't need to meditate for hours, although meditation is really important and powerful. But you don't have to do it for hours. Come and do the 10-minute mind, my course, and do it for 10 minutes a day. You don't have to stop having big feelings. Mastery is in the small. Mastery is in the moment that you pause before you snap at someone. It's in the moment that you say, wow, I'm feeling really anxious right now, instead of numbing out. Or the moment you choose to breathe, to name it, to stay. Or the moment you realize you don't need to believe everything you feel to still honor it. These moments matter more than the big dramatic breakthroughs. They're the moments that build a different kind of life. So you can't always choose what you feel, but you can choose what you do with it. And this is where real transformation begins. Because once you learn how to meet your emotions skillfully, without fear, without judgment, you become more grounded, more free, more available to life. You're no longer running from yourself. You're no longer afraid of what might rise up. You learn that you can meet whatever comes with gentleness, with awareness, with strength. That's not just emotional mastery. That's inner peace. And from that place, everything around you begins to shift. So I want to remind you that meditation is one of the most powerful things that you can learn. I teach a course called The 10-Minute Mind. You can find it online, the10minutemind.com. And that course is used in 70 universities and colleges worldwide. It's so powerful, and it teaches you in a very easy and accessible way how to meditate. And what meditation does is it helps to create that gap between your emotional feeling and your reactions. So I really encourage you to come and do it. As always, be kind, take care, go gently in the world.